Deputy Healy-Rae, and they come to West Cork to see the beautiful greenery, as you do too, Minister Ryan. But you kind of forgot that when it comes to this bill. And the bill is an attack, and a complete attack on rural Ireland. And I want to talk to the amendments here today, and to think that there was 239 amendments, Minister. And I think we have about 75, the Rural Independent Group. I think you've got to reject every one of those amendments. Do you think that we didn't care? Did you think that we didn't meet with climate action groups in West Cork and they advising me the right way to roll out a good climate action bill? And I bring forward that here to the Dáil, and you reject every one of our amendments? I can't maybe talk on behalf of Sinn Féin and the other, they'll talk on behalf of their own amendments. Refuse, and maybe you'll change your mind, because you still have a chance. Maybe you'll decide, I won't railroad through this bill. I will sit down with these groups and parties and disagree with some, but agree with more, because these come from the heart of our constituency and the heart of our communities, and that's what we represent. And it's a scandalous shame today that if I see anyone that put in amendments here to this bill and they come in and vote for this tonight, go back to their constituencies and talk to the people who elected them, and they'll never be forgotten or never forgiven for what they've done here. It is no point in we representing our constituents or the people that come from our country and bring up decent, hard-working people that brought forward amendments to us to make sure that we made this bill even better than it could be. And you sit there idly and you say no to every one of them. And every one of the Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael backbenchers, whether they be TDs or senators, are patting you on the back. What kind of a deal did you do a year ago to get you across the line, your number of TDs and yourself, Minister? It's an appalling attack on rural Ireland, this climate action bill is. And I'd advise everybody here that put in an amendment to vote against you tonight and to vote against Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, and let the blame be with them backbenchers for what they have done and what they will do, because we will hold them to account on every one of these amendments in the years to come. And I can assure you I certainly will. And I want to talk on the just transition and on these amendments today. The bill is, as I said, being railroaded. We're paying a high price for having the Greens in this government. You have a dream, Minister, a dream that there should be 2 cars in every village. But I live every day in rural Ireland. I know that can't work and will never work. It's a dream that you want to achieve, and you don't care how it's done. You'll look for your support here for carbon tax, so you'll hit the ordinary mother and father going to work every morning, the young people, they're trying to take their children to school. You'll hit them in the pocket and keep hitting them and keep hitting them, and it's rural Ireland. So that we can insulate Dublin. We can look after your constituents. It's a rich idea, and it's a great idea for you, but it's not for those. Imagine the people that are looking to warm their homes in a warmer home scheme for 2 years. We have an amendment in to break that down to at least 2 months. You refused it. Imagine a situation where people are paying 23% VAT on insulation for warmer homes products. We want that brought down to 0%. Why didn't you bring forward a proposal to bring it down to 5 or 6%? So people could afford to buy insulation products to insulate their homes, to try and meet the targets that you're telling us we must meet. No, not at all. That amendment is of no use, because that would help the ordinary people of rural Ireland to come to meet with the terms. Remember another thing, Minister, and I won't have much time here, but I was to talk about agriculture. And I've heard opposition TDs from Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil say nothing at all to do with agriculture. Don't be worrying at all. Move on, say nothing, of course. The former chair of the Climate Action, John Fitzgerald, he has warned the only way that agriculture will meet these targets is through a dramatic reduction in livestock numbers. Black and white, it's not Michael Collins. It's not Rural Independent. You'd love to think that that's what we'd be saying. It's not. It's the former chairman of the Climate Action Group. This Climate Action Council previously called for the culling of 3.4 million cattle by 2030. And a TD here today said previously that the farm groups have really had their eyes off the ball. They're running around now, dramatically, but they've had their eyes off the ball on this one. And remember, the farm organisations in New Zealand had their eyes off the ball when the Greens pulled the fast one there. And now they're calling for a 15% cull in the cattle in New Zealand. So now the truth is being found out as this goes on, Minister. And we will be here, as I said, to follow through on the way you treat the people in this. You look at a Climate Advisory Council. That's going to be the new Dáil now. Move the blame game away. It's the same as the Taoiseach here today when I mentioned about the SFP and foreign vessels able to come into Ireland and do what they like. I have no control over the SFP, he says. Of course you haven't, because that's the game you're playing. You'll have no control over the Climate Advisory Council unless you have a few buddies inside there. Why isn't there an independent climate scientist there? Is there a public policy expert there? Is there a rural transport policy public expert in it? Is there going to be representatives from farm organisations? Is there going to be an agricultural policy expert? Is there going to be a climate change economist, a climate change financial analyst, a representative to represent the interests of social justice? Is there going to be representatives from rural communities? No, I can answer you. Because you have your mind made up. And it will lead to the destruction of this rural Ireland. And I certainly will not support any part of this. And as I said, when I met the climate action people in West Cork, fine, decent people, many good meetings with them I had. I told them I'd support this if support for our amendments was forthcoming. You certainly have not even, I don't even know, have you read them properly? To be quite honest with you, it's scandalous to think that good parties and good groups in here put forward 239 amendments and you find it in your way and get support from two political parties that are supporting people of rural Ireland to refuse every one of those amendments. We've had 3 Amber Alerts or 4 this year. I have a funny feeling behind the scenes you're quite happy. You're trying to send a message, and your message is very, very clear. But it's clear that the people of rural Ireland will suffer, and you'll be held to account for every detail of this if you have a political future in here. Thank you.